Hey guys, good morning to you. Ed over here at FICMRepair. Repair. So Jaden writes in response to another one of our videos, he says, hey, so if your alternator goes bad, it starts a ticking time bomb on your FICM. Not wrong. 100% right. I would tell you guys, if you have a Power Stroke 6-liter and you got, I'm going to call it 160,000 miles. If you got 160,000 miles on your stock alternator or on your non-stock alternator, think about picking up a replacement from us or from somebody else. I mean, ideally from us, I'm just saying, but it causes a tremendous number of FICM failures, and I don't want that for you. Normally, 1 to 6 months after a alternator failure, you become my customer for the FICM 9 times out of 10, especially if you live in a colder climate. If you live in a warmer climate, it might be up to a year, but you absolutely are causing this challenge for yourself, and it's just avoidable. So if you don't want to have to become my customer for the FICM, and you don't want the downtime and the hassle and the ruined family's vacation, because recognize your FICM can fail catastrophically too, right? You're driving and all of a sudden you're not, and you're like, what in the Sam Hill just happened? What's that burning smell? Well, that's called money, and it's because your voltage regulator bit the dust on your alternator. And also recognize that International's version of this of the Power Stroke 6.0, the VT365, it came with a way bigger alternator, and so all of a sudden it's like, well, hey, what's the likelihood of having a problem with the FICM on a VT365? I'll tell you that probably 1 in 300 or so FICMs that come into us for repair come to us from the Internationals. The rest of them come from Power Strokes. Don't confuse yourself here. There's a gajillion VT365s out there, and yet only 1 in 300 FICMs come to us for repair, from the Internationals, and the only difference is the alternator? Well, yeah. And why is that? It's because there's a 230 amp pulsating draw immediately after ignition that's time-based, based upon engine oil temperature. It's got nothing to do with ambient. So when it's negative 10 degrees outside, negative 20, 30 degrees outside, and you shut off your truck, and 5 minutes later you immediately restart it, your engine oil temperature is still toasty, so your glow plugs aren't even part of the equation. But if you're sitting overnight and all of a sudden you're at 30 degree oil at the time of a restart, the next morning kind of thing, recognize that your glow plugs are staying on for about 1 minute and 15 seconds. And at 0 degrees and colder, it's 2 minutes. And at 50 degrees still, say you live in a Miami or a Houston or a Phoenix or something, you're like, man, we don't know what cold weather is. We're smarter than you Midwestern folks. Yeah, you are. And, I would just tell you on that, in the winter, y'all are laughing at us, and in the summer, we're laughing at you, kind of thing. So there's no right answers unless you're in a California type climate where the weather's always perfect, but then you're dealing with politics, just saying. But at any rate, most of us, the life is just not perfect. But when you go ahead and you start your truck on a 50 degree startup, your glow plugs stay running for 45 seconds after ignition. So you've got a 230 amp pulsating draw that whole time. And so if you live in a warmer climate, maybe take a look at our 185 amp alternator. It does 130 at cold idle. At least it's not just 85 amps or actually 75 amps at cold idle for the 110. Or if you live in a warmer climate, take a look at our 240 that does 190 at cold idle, and recognize that all other companies, they are marketing companies. There's a 220 amp alternator out there, sounds a lot like our 240, but 220 and 240. There's also a 230 out there, sounds a lot like our 240. What's the problem? The 220 does 110 at idle. The 230 does 115 at idle. What's our 240 do? 190. Oh, that starts to matter a little bit. Now, what's the problem with our 240 or the 230 or the 220? They all need auxiliary cabling. So now you're spending extra cash on cabling. You're like, oh, crap. And so you're like, man, there's even more expense. So we're talking about this cable kit right here, our deluxe cable kit. If you want a belts and suspenders, right? There's also a basic cable kit that just gives the electrons a place to go, and it's less money, but it's still not free, right? If you can make your own cables, God bless you, right? Just make sure you have a 16-ton hydraulic crimper, and as long as you do, and as long as you fuse protect the positive off of it, you're good. And in any scenario, you want to go ahead and you want to add to the factory's cabling. You're not replacing what's there. If you pull off the 8-gauge wire off the charge stud of the alternator, recognize you just lost voltage regulation. I don't want that for you. By the way, for hashtag reasons, don't worry about it. Just accept the truth of that. So if you don't want your alternator to go, just full bore ahead continuously, augment the factory's cabling with the equivalent of our basic cable kit, with just 1/0 wires, 16 tons hydraulic crimps. Please don't solder on the ends. You solder on the ends, you'll work hard in the metal, and it'll be brittle right after the lug ends. So here's the lug, and then right there the wire starts. You'll actually work hard in the metal, and so you just add a fragility component to what you've done. So 16-ton hydraulic crimper, double wall adhesive back heat shrink tubing, ideally some kind of nylon or some kind of abrasion resistant something, because if you want to ruin your whole day, let a 1/0 or bigger cable short to ground, let's just say it'll end badly, and off to the races. And if you want to build some suspenders, that our deluxe cable kit makes the two batteries, for all intents and purposes, electrically identical. And so now when you get that 1350 amp inrush current to get that starter to start spinning, your batteries are sharing that load far better, so you can stop going through passenger side batteries like candy. And because electrons travel from the negative to the positive and not from the positive to the negative, this kit includes a 1/0 ground wire that goes from the driver side cylinder head. There's already a hole drilled and tapped for this purpose, and it goes from there down to the driver side frame. And so you go ahead and do that, and now you've given the electrons a place to go, and you've also protected the automatic transmission. If you've got an automatic, if you've got a ZF6, you don't care about this piece. But if you have an automatic, the torque converter has a likelihood of welding itself to the front pump. That's not a good day. So I sell transmissions. Please don't make me sell you one. But you go ahead and do that, and you couple this. You couple this with some electrically conductive grease. We really like this product right here, No Oxide D. It's freaking awesome. A little dab goes a very long way. Just don't be using dielectric. Dielectric is an insulator. You really want a conductor, and that's what this product is, and you're golden, right? Now, if you take a look at your battery terminals, you're like, they've seen better days. We can hook you up with just some straight up military terminals to go ahead and replace what Ford gave us. And at the same time, we can go ahead and either hook you up with a 2/0 lug, so you can recrimp if you're set up for that, the 2/0 starter cable to this deal, or you can go ahead and we can get you a starter cable kit for that purpose as well. Just do a search on the word starter, you'll find it. And if you've got a lot of accessories on your truck and you want just some crazy lugs, these things are huge. If you attach these here, one to the positive, one to the negative, there'll be like an inch only, just an inch separation between these two terminals. So you can add, these are all 5/16 lugs, and it's like, holy buckets, now you're in high cotton, and everything a growing boy thinks to ask for. And your negatives are probably fine, but if they're not, we got a negative cable kit for you too. So just do a search on negative and you'll find it on FICMRepair. So, but if you don't have any aftermarket accessories, and your terminals are looking solid and all that's good for you, and you live in a southern climate, maybe just go ahead and stick with our 185 amp, and you don't have to worry about the cabling at all. The only bummer about the 185 amp, and at least at the time of this video, the difference in price between the 185 and the 240 is only $75. And so for $75, you get half again more alternator at idle. So your 130 amps becomes 190 amps, and it's like, oh man, that is covering so much more of the glow plug draw. Yeah, it is. And so what's going to happen? Your batteries are going to last longer, period. And why are they going to last longer? Because your depth of discharge against the batteries is far, far, far less. And so that's just good for you. Now, if you need batteries, we talked about this. Sam's Club has Duracell batteries, which are actually gone ahead and they're manufactured by Deca. And so you can put the batteries in there and call it a day. Or if you're just buy once, cry once, and move on, take a look at the Odyssey Extremes on our site. Holy crap, are they spendy. But man, the service life, we're talking like 10, 12 years out of these batteries. So they're just ridiculously better, but it's such a premium. And if you want to stop there, you can. Or you can also just do a search on tensioner, idler pulleys, and serpentine belt. And we really like the belt from Continental, by the way. It'll never squeak, unlike both versions of Gates, the Daco belt and the OEM belt. They all squeak eventually, and you can just push the magic reset button on life. So a whole lot of no right answers here. This comment is absolutely on point. Your alternator dies, ticking time bomb on the FICM. Sorry about that. just the way it is. So our job is not to sell you stuff, it's to tell you stuff. So appreciate you listening. FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Thank you guys.